I'm going to review the top 10 movies of the 1980s according to Rotten Tomatoes. These are ranked according to their adjusted scores, a metric that accounts for both the tomato meter rating and the number of reviews. Now, I'm doing this from the perspective of someone who was born in 77, so I actually lived a lot of these movies. So I'll be reviewing them based on nostalgia, but then also in hindsight. So for you youngsters, the kids in Stranger Things Season 1 are all 12 years old. The young kids that play Dungeons and Dragons. And so if they're 12 and that takes place in 1983, then I would have been 6 years old at the time of Stranger Things Season 1. And that's actually nice to know, because what really sucks, I watched this movie called Y2K, which was about the year 2000, right? And all the characters in that show are like 20. And I'm like, oh shit, so even then I was older than them. So number 10 is The Princess Bride. Came out in 1987, so I would have been 10 years old. I probably watched it 100 times. It still holds up to time. You can still go back to it. I'm sure people still watch it. Now, I don't have much to say about movies that are basically perfect, so I can't really say much. But it does occur to me things like, why is The Neverending Story not in this list? I just think of all the movies that are not in this list. The Goonies. I was a kid, right? So I guess I'm picking all kids' movies that I remember. Or Gremlins. Interesting thing about the writer of this, the screenwriter, he also wrote the screenplay of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He's very well respected. I'm pretty sure he's dead. The screenwriter's name is William Goldman. He's famous for saying about the movie business that nobody knows anything. Chris Sarandon plays the villain, and also interestingly, he also plays the villain in Fright Night, which I would also put maybe in my top 10 80s list. But come to think of it, there were so many good movies in the 80s. I was very lucky to be born when I was. I'd hate to be, a teenager in this day and age. Or even worse, to have to be a kid in this day and age. But I would say yes, Princess Bride does deserve to be somewhere in the top 10, I guess, of the 80s. Number 9, Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee. This may have been his first movie. It came out in 89, I would have been 12, and I confess I've never seen it. But I do respect Spike Lee, so I'll just take their word for it. I do remember, though, during those 80s years, Spike Lee used to do commercials with Michael Jordan for, I think, Nike commercials. Number 8, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I was never a big fan. It came out in 81, so I would have been 4 years old, so I guess I kind of missed it by a few years. I don't think it deserves to be in the top 10. It's kind of a boring story. I don't think it has a lot of rewatchability. Oh, it came out in 81, so again, I was only 4 when it came out. I got it confused with the Alan Quartermain movies, I don't know, series of movies with Chuck Norris, which I think were rip-offs of this movie. Generally, I don't think Steven Spielberg movies hold past the test of time. Something not everybody knows is that Alfred Molina, who plays Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man movies, he has a bit part at the beginning of this movie. Number 7, Raging Bull, 1987. I was way too young to watch that movie. I didn't watch it until... 1980. Wow, 1980. So I was only 3 years old. I didn't watch it until I was like 20-something, and I didn't think much of it. I still don't think much of it. I don't think much of Martin Scorsese. So I'd put this like at the bottom of the list, like, the top 100,000 movies of the 80s. I'd put this at the end. Number 6, The Shining. Okay. Again, I didn't watch this until I was like 16 or something. It came out in 1980, so I would have been 3 years old. I watched it, like, I think I must have been maybe 14 or something, and I didn't think it was scary. and I've had to rewatch it because my ex-girlfriend, it's her favorite movie, her favorite horror movie, and I'm just like, I've already watched it so many times, I don't find it scary at all. Not at all. But considering the quality of Kubrick, I would, I'd let him have this in the top 10 just because it's just great filmmaking. I just don't think it's a scary movie. Number 5, 16 Candles. Okay, I don't know how this is the 5th. It's better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's better than The Princess Bride. I don't know. I guess it's influential, right? Anthony Michael Hall, John Cusack was in it. I don't think it's one of John Hughes' best movies. I think he made other movies in the 80s. The Breakfast Club is way better than this. Anybody who's seen this movie would know about Long Duck Dong. This movie came out in 84, so I would have been 7, so I probably did see it right around the time that it came out. Yeah, I must have, because I have very early memories of it. The thing is, back then, a movie would go in the theater, and then you'd have to wait like a year before it came out on video. And even then, it was hard. I don't know if it was like limited release or something. It was hard to... I think we used to rent them and then copy them. You just put a piece of tape on the VHS cassette, and then you can record it. Well, I've got a lot of memories of this movie, though. I've probably seen it a dozen times. Right at the beginning of the movie, it's her birthday. I think she just turned 16, and her whole family forgot about it. They don't even remember to wish her happy birthday. And so the way it starts before the credits is she goes, "I can't believe it. They forgot my fucking birthday." And Anthony Michael Hall is like the standout in this movie. He's hilarious. It's worth watching just for him. He did, like, John Hughes, like, this was his favorite, go-to kid actor. He cast him in Weird Science, this movie, The Breakfast Club, and then Anthony Michael Hall couldn't do Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then John Hughes shunned him forever after that. The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. I was 3 years old. I don't think I got into Star Wars until I was 6, and that's when Return of the Jedi came out. And that's when my father was able to get a bootleg of Return of the Jedi, which I watched ad nauseum. And I think that's why Return of the Jedi is my favorite of all the Star Wars movies. So I still can't, I'm blinded by nostalgia, my own nostalgia. I don't understand why this movie is considered so awesome when I think Return of the Jedi was a lot better. But I think it's just because I have such a childhood connection. Where the hell's Superman? That came out in 77, didn't it? I don't know, man. There's got to be better movies. Like, this is a great movie, but there's got to be other 80s movies deserving of being on this top 10 list. Number 3, Ghostbusters. I was 7 years old. I remember my parents took me to this in the theater, and I started crying and like, get me out of here when at the opening scene when that ghost librarian spooks out. I was like, they had to take me out of the theater because I was crying. Come to think of it, a 7-year-old who doesn't have the courage to deal with that scene, I guess I'm a real coward. But this movie is perfect in every way, as everybody knows. And I even thought about it, Where's Dirty Dancing on this top 10 list? That should be on here. This is one of those movies where everything just works out perfectly. Even the plot, the fact that the love interest happens to be living in the same apartment building complex, condo, that Zool lives in. The plot comes together so perfectly. And interestingly, I found out a few months ago that the that theme song was ripped off from Huey Lewis. And Huey Lewis sued the guy and settled. And originally, the makers of Ghostbusters wanted Huey Lewis to write the theme song, but he declined because he was busy. So they basically got a guy to rip off Huey Lewis's song, which is, what's it called? Give me a second. Oh, okay. It's called "I Want a New Drug" by Huey Lewis. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, look it up. You won't believe they stole the song. They stole the main theme song. E.T. 1982. I would have been 5 years old. Maybe I saw it in the theater. I remember watching it when I was that age, and it didn't really impress me back then, and I don't think anybody watches it anymore. I don't think it has any rewatchability. I don't think it stands up. I bet you like maybe 10 people have watched it in the last year, like young kids growing up, like little 6-year-olds. I don't think anybody rewatches Steven Spielberg movies. E.T. phone home. He likes was it M&M's? I don't know if it's M&M's, Skittles or something. And his heart glows, and then they can make the bike fly. And the corporation comes, the scientists, to try to like steal them, and that's about it. I mean, I don't think, like, if I paid you $20 to watch it and not check, like give it for your full attention, I think you'd have a tough time. I don't think you'd enjoy it. Number 1, Back to the Future, 1985. I was 8 years old. I don't know if I saw it in the theater or not, but it deserves to be either number 1 or close to number 1. Where's the Goonies? Where's Gremlins? I don't know. I've already said this, but there's other movies that deserve to be here. Yeah, I don't know. Perfect movie. The plot it's one of those plots where it just all fits together perfectly. The acting, the actors, the music. Huey Lewis, again, writes the main song. What do you say about a perfect movie? I don't know. How do you talk about it? And later, of course, Robert Zemeckis just couldn't get over doing like CGI and like messing with computers and stuff. Even in the second Back to the Future movie, he was doing like dabbling with like CGI, kind of early pre-CGI stuff. That's why he famously did like Forrest Gump, where like he would alter photos, alter like video from the past. Like he got a little too much into technology. I do remember that after this movie came out, me and all of my friends were like, we had to wait years. It felt like years before the sequel came out, because it ended by saying, to be continued or something. So we were just like waiting, and it felt like a decade. Probably was only like 2 years or something. Anyhow, that's the top 10 best movies of the 80s, according to Rotten Tomatoes, however the hell that works. I disagree, but at some point in time, comment if you want. I'll try to do my top 10. It's really hard because there's so many movies, right? And it's hard to compare, How do you compare Fright Night to The Goonies? How do you compare Evil Dead to, I don't know, Return of the Jedi? How do you compare different, genres? But I will say, I will end with this. I do believe that I was born. I may have been born at the perfect time that any human could ever be born and place. Toronto, Ontario. In 1977, I got to see all the cool shit. Transformers. Where's that on the list? The Transformers movie. And then I got to grow up. And then later in life, at 47, I get to see things like Stranger Things, which are all making nods to the stuff that I grew up on. I get to see like the sequel to Trainspotting, where they're all my age now. I was their age when the first Trainspotting came out. Now they're my age, and they made a Trainspotting 2. Where's Karate Kid on this list? I got to watch Karate Kid, and then I got to watch Cobra Kai, and I got to see Ralph Macchio and the other dude. And now they're my age. Like, it's just so cool. I mean, in terms of movies, in terms of everything. And I think movies are coming to an end anyways. All the movies have been made, so no wonder they're hearkening back to the 80s. You didn't realize what a great time it was when you were living in the 80s. But I guess they were pretty good. And Nightmare on Elm Street, those movies, holy smokes. Friday the 13th, Halloween. In a way, it was a golden age because I think, there were different producers would invest more in things that were like a wild card, whereas today it has to be a sequel or a franchise or something, right? And also, unfortunately, today movies are less of an experience because anybody can download a movie or watch it on their big screen TV at home. No need to go to the theater. No need to go to your friend's house because he's got a copy of this movie or he just rented this movie. You can all watch the same thing at the same person's house, so it's no longer so much of an experience. And also, like, these movies, like such as Ghostbusters, that was like the only movie that year, probably, of its caliber. Whereas now there's like, 1,000 movies every year, whether they're on Netflix or whatever, or in the theater. So, I mean, it's similar to like music, where it was once a big deal to get a CD of your favorite album or your favorite band. But now you can just download it, so it becomes less important. Similarly, taking pictures, right? I used to buy a disposable camera, and there'd be 24 pictures on it that you can take on it. And so you choose them carefully, and then you go and get them developed. It would be an experience. Now everybody can take a picture, not only a picture on their phone, they can take video on their phone. So now nobody takes home movies anymore. Nobody takes pictures anymore because it's just too easy. Anyways, I'm very serious when I say please like and comment if you want more of this, because I'll do one on the 90s, and then I'll continue in this tradition of the Rotten Tomatoes stuff, and then I'll do other versions of like my actual picks, etc. Okay, please make sure to have a good day.